Hello everyone. Welcome to the next part of asset accounting lean implementation. Till the last training we completed till generate asset classes from GL accounts under organizational structure, where we had completed the wizard while filling all those details with respect to account determination, number range, then the screen layout and the asset classes. Now today we'll be proceeding with the further configuration steps of organizational structures under asset accounting. So the next step is specify required entries for asset master data, as you can see on the screen. So this is what we will be starting up with. Prior to that, we had completed in the last training session. So this is the part 2 of lean implementation. Specify required entries for asset master data basically is, in this step we make any corrections to the screen layout controls that we have created when we generate the asset classes. So the screen layout which we had generated in the earlier step, that is generate asset classes from GL account, in that we have assigned a screen layout to the asset class. Now as said, that the screen layout is the one which defines your fields, whether they will be required or optional or will be hidden. So in case you want to make changes to those particular fields, you can make those changes in the next step, that is specify required entries for asset master data. So in this we can make changes as per our requirement. The screen layout controls all the essential features of the fields of asset master data. So what are the different fields which we need while creating the asset master data? Can be the rules can be maintained, the rules or the fields can be changed over here into this. So let's see how that can be done within the SAP screen. Moving on to SAP system. So we need to go to the transaction SPRO, enter, and then we need to click on to SAP reference IMG, and it will take us to the IMG path. We need to go to financial accounting new. The path is the same that we have used last time, asset accounting. Then we need to go to asset accounting lean implementation, expand it. We need to go to organizational structure, expand, and within that we need to go to asset class, expand this, and in that you will find the second step is specify required fields for asset master data. So we can go and we can execute this step, and it will take you to the next screen where we can make changes to the screen layout. We can make changes to the fields within those layout. So if you go over here, suppose the layout for computer we had defined. So if you select the layout over here 1000, we need to go to, once we have selected the layout on your right hand side, we need to go to click on logical field groups, double click onto that. So as we will double click into it, it will show you the different logical field groups. These are the same field groups which we have selected when we created the screen layout in the last step while creating the wizard. So in this, the first 3 groups are very important: general data, posting information, and time dependent data. Rest of the groups depends as per different assets, but the first 3 are very common, which are used everywhere. So we can select the first group, general data, and we can go to the left hand side and double click on to field group rules, and as you will double click, it will take you to the next screen. So you can see now within the screen layout 1000, that is computer asset class, The logical field group general data has got these different fields on the screen to you. Description 1, description 2, long text, inventory number, unit of measure, quantity, and you can find over here that there is a required field, there is an optional field, and there is a no field, then there is a display field. These first four are what is important for you to understand. So if you need any of these fields to be required or optional or hidden, for required basically refers to mandatory field. So if you want the description 1 to be made mandatory, you can select that over here. And if you want that to be optional, that means whether it can be filled or it can be skipped. So in that case you can select optional. And in case you need any fields to be hidden from the screen, you can go and you can click on to the third one, that is no. So as I clicked over here, no, so this will be hidden from the screen. So these are the different fields, and these all fields have their status as required means mandatory, optional, and no means suppressed. So this is for general data. Similarly, you can go back and you can go to the second field group, that is posting information. You can select it and then you can go to field group rules, double click to it, and it will take you to the posting information details now. So in the posting information, these are the different fields which are there. One is capitalization date, then there is acquisition data, deactivation, then plan deactivation, purchase order date, capitalization key. So out of these, in case you feel that any of these are required, you can make that a mandatory field or let them as optional, or in case you need them to be hidden, you can hide them. And in case you want that particular field to be only displayed to you, you don't just need to put anything in it, it will be just as a display. So you can select this display option over here. So these are the different fields. You can maintain their status, and these status will be maintained when you create the asset master data with respect to computer class. These fields will become applicable, these field status will become applicable there. So now we can go back again and we can go to the third field logical field group, that is 3, that's time dependent data. So we can select that and again we can go to field group rules, double click to it, and it shows you the different fields again for time dependent data, like license plate number, cost center, plant, business area. So normally the cost center we used to make it as a required field. In case you want, you can make business area as a required field as well, in case business area is used in your particular client company. So accordingly you can select your requirement, which of these fields need to be mandatory or optional or hidden as per your requirement, and these field status will get applicable for your that particular asset group master data. So whenever you create the asset master data for that particular asset class, this particular screen layout will become applicable to that asset class. Like this is for computer, so whatever asset you will be creating for computer, it will be applicable to that. So you can go now and you can select onto the save, so that whatever the changes we have done to the screen layout rules will be saved to it. So now click on to save, enter. So this is how the different field status has been changed. Now you can go back. So what we have did is we just had did this for computer part, the layout 1000 only. Similarly, if you want to make changes to the field status rules or the screen layout rules, you want to change the field status, you can go to these respective different layouts, and accordingly you can change the field status for their respective layouts, so that their respective layout will become applicable to those particular asset classes. So this is all about the required entry for asset master data. So it basically means that what are the different fields required for asset master data. You can make those things, those particular fields required or optional or suppressed as per your requirement. So this is the first configuration step which we have covered for today. Now moving to the next is define allowed entries for user fields. Now moving up to the next, as you can see, define allowed entries for user fields. This is not been used as a practical part, just to give you an overview what this is all about. So this particular step define the following fields. One, the asset master record fields, for which you can set up your own evaluation groups. A field for identifying environmental protection measures, or you can say a field for the reason for investment. So these are certain different things for which this particular step is used, but I haven't seen anywhere as such that this particular step used as of. So will not be looking after to this. We'll move with this. This is not required with respect to our configuration part. So moving up to the next is copy asset classes from reference. Now moving on to copy asset classes from reference. In this, what we do is we make copies of the asset classes that were generated from the GL accounts. When we copy the asset classes, it gives you the opportunity to control the default values in the asset class, particularly the depreciation terms, more finally than the GL account level. So like just to give a better idea, for example, if you have a GL account for building, for example, you can set up individual asset classes for each type of building depreciation. These asset classes would then contain the depreciation keys and default values for the given type of depreciation. So what this is all about, let's see. We can go to this step, execute it, which will give you a better idea. So you can see these are the different asset classes. So by this, what we can do is we can copy any of the asset classes, and we can select any of these asset classes, and we can create a new as per our requirement by copying the existing ones. So if you want, we can select one from over here. Suppose I select it as furniture and fixtures. So you need to select it, and then we need to go to copy as. So as you will go to copy as, you can see over here onto the screen. Now you can change the details over here, and accordingly your new asset class will be created. So there are two wayouts to create an asset class. One is you can copy one as a reference and then make the needful changes to that, and another part is that you can go and you can create a fresh one with the new entry option. So once we have copied the asset class, we can even go and change the required details within the asset class. So one thing which you have to do, which is a mandatory part, is you need to change the asset class code over here. So suppose I take the code over here as 8000 or something else, 8500, and even you can go and change the descriptions to it as well. Suppose I take it as test asset, and then the same thing you can take up over here onto the below part. And another thing is, if you wish, you can change all the part over here, whatever the different things, as you can see. So you need to decide what asset class you are creating and what account determination you have created so as to have their impact to the GL accounts. Like for furniture, I have created an account determination for furniture to which the GL account will be assigned. Similarly for a screen layout, what screen layout you want to assign it to, and you can decide as per your convenience. And the number range, you can, if you wish, you can assign your own number range with a different from and to series, so that a unique different asset code can be generated by the SAP system. So once you have copied and you have done all those changes to this screen, we can enter on it, and once you entered, you can see the number of copy entries has been copied as 1, which has been copied, and then we can go and we can save the screen and your asset class will be defined. So that is it, enter, and you can see now the asset class 8500 as test asset has been defined. So similarly you would be defining the asset classes if you want to define it by copying an existing one and making needful changes to it. Otherwise, another way out of defining the asset classes is through the lean implementation wizard as well, which we had seen earlier in the last training session. So this is about how we can go and we can copy an existing asset class from as a reference, and then we create our own, we override the details to it, and then we create and we save it, and the asset class is defined. So moving on to the next step is enter default values in asset classes. In this step we enter the default values for asset master data maintenance in the asset classes. The default value basically refers to the depreciation terms, the net worth tax, or the insurance detail, the leasing details and all. So what it is all about, let's see in the SAP screen itself. So the path is simple. We need to go to asset accounting, then asset accounting lean implementation, then organizational structures, and within that asset accounting, enter default values in asset classes. Now executing this step, as we can see, once I clicked onto that particular step to define the default values, a new pop-up screen has been generated, a new box has been generated in front of you, and it has number of details like specify default values for depreciation terms, then specify default values for net worth valuation, details for insurance, leasing and user fields and all. So we can define, or we can default values for each of these different parameters or different activity. If we go to the first one, like specify default values for depreciation terms, double click onto it, and as I double click onto the first one for depreciation terms, the system asks you for the chart of depreciation. So the chart of depreciation that we defined is 2000, enter. It will take you to the next screen. So now in this particular screen you will find that all the asset classes whatever exist in the particular system will be reflected to you, and in that you can find that the asset class which we have defined in the lean implementation wizard is 80020 for computer and 80040 for vehicle. Now if you go and select one of these and go to the depreciation areas on the left hand side, double click onto depreciation area, it will take you to the next screen where you can see all the different depreciation areas 01, 15, 30 and 31 which we had defined earlier. So these all different depreciation areas has the default values defined to it. Like if you remember, we had already defined the depreciation key, if you could remember in the last particular training, where we had defaulted the depreciation keys along with the useful life. So if you want that the system should take the default depreciation key as IN3, that means that the default percentage, then in that case you can assign this key over here for the computer group or the computer asset class, you can say. And the useful life, if you expect this to be 20 year, you can default it over here as 20 year. In case you are not sure, because the value or the life of the computer or the asset can vary within the group, you can take off this particular useful life, but could be that the percentage could be the same. So you can uniformly put one particular depreciation key for that. So that is one of the option which we had defaulted, the depreciation key. Similarly, you can default the useful life of the asset as well, and then we can default the layout over here. So the layout will remain as it is, as 2000. Now moving down, you can see this deact basically refers to deactivate. Now in case you want any of these depreciation areas to be deactivated, you can go and you can select this checkbox. Now selecting this checkbox means deactivation. In that case, that particular depreciation area will not be active for the company code. So if you find, I am putting this 0, 1 and 15 as active part means unchecked means active, and 30, 31 I am putting it as deactivated part. If you want, you can activate them as well. It's up to your wish. So it's entirely your wish what you want to default the values, or what you want to default as per the depreciation terms that can be defaulted for a particular asset classes. So once you have defaulted these values, you can go and you can save this particular customization. So once saved, enter, and now we can go back. So similarly, you can go as we did for computer. Similarly, you can select for vehicle or for any of the other asset classes, and you can maintain the depreciation terms. Depreciation terms basically refers to the depreciation key and the useful life. So this is one of the activity within the default value which we do if you have that certain default values to be maintained. The second is specify default value for net worth valuation. So in this case, what we do is we classify our assets under different asset heads for valuation of those assets. So let's see what is this all about. Double click onto this particular part and it take you to the next screen now. Now in this case also, you can select your asset class, because whatever the default values which we are assigning it to the group of asset which is termed as asset class. So we can again select the asset class as computer, or instead of selecting, you can double click onto that particular asset class. So as you will double click, it will take you to the next screen. So as you can see, the next screen, it says net worth text for asset classes. So the asset class net worth text can be defaulted over here. How? So you can go over here and specify for net worth text. We define the classification key for that. So if you go and check the classification keys, you can have the whole list of that, and out of that you can decide what particular classification key should be assigned to computer. So if it's up to you what particular classification you want to assign it to. Classification basically refers to the property category. So to what category you want to put that particular asset class to, that can be selected over here. So once you have selected, suppose we take it up over here as machines and technical assets, suppose technical assets I have taken, and then you can go to the second property indicator, and you can now select the property indicator over here, whether it is a owned property or leasing. That can be selected in this particular second step. And in the third, if you want the manual valuation of the asset, the manual net worth valuation, you can check box. In that case, manual net worth valuation can be done. And then the area unit, in what unit you want your particular asset class to be valued in, whether you want it to be in kilometer, in square, in whatever different units, that particular unit can be taken up over here for measurement. So this is all about for calculating the net worth of that particular asset class, and on the basis of that the net worth text can be done. So we default over here the values with respect to these things. In case of the net worth text, Now moving back, we can click on to save so as to save the details, and then we can move back. So now we can go to the third part that says specify default values for insurance. So if you can double click onto the insurance, again in this particular part you can again you can go to that particular asset class for which you want to see, or you want to assign certain default values. So as we double click onto one of the asset class 80020 computers, so as okay, it's not there. Okay, let's see. So all the fields over here are on the minimize, on the disable part, so you cannot fill anything as of now, but these details can be filled when you create the asset master data with respect to the insurance company, then the index, the insurance premium to be paid, and all those details can be filled. What is the insurance rate, which means the premium of the insurance company can be assigned to it, then all these details can be filled with respect to the insurance specification for that particular asset class. So if you have any value, we can default that over here as well. Moving to the next is values for leasing. So as said, similar is for leasing. In leasing we can put the leasing details like the leasing company, the leasing cycle, number of years for leasing, and all those details can be defaulted over here for that particular asset class. So that is about the leasing part if you wish to have. And then comes the specified default values for user fields. So in this case, if you double click onto this, and it gives you the asset classes. If you double click on any of the asset class, now you will find the different groups. So what it does is you can assign the user IDs or user groups to this particular allocations, and those only group or the users can go for evaluation of that group as group 2, group 3 and group 4, and then the investment reasons and all. So these values can be defaulted from the user field side as well. So these are the different things, but basically what we basically use in this particular part is the first one, which is most commonly been used across the industries and across different companies, is default values for depreciation terms. So that is what more focused you should be with. Now we can close this particular tab or box, and we can move to the next step as we are done with the default values in asset classes. Now the next comes up is specify asset class for clearing assets from purchase order. So under this step of just next to the default value in asset classes is specify asset class for creating assets from purchase order. So in this particular step, one can create an asset directly from the purchasing transaction for purchase orders. Using this particular step or customization, you can enter an asset purchase order without creating an asset beforehand in asset accounting. So the asset master can be directly created while creating the purchase order itself. This asset will serve as the account assignment object for purchase order. So basically in this particular step, we specify the asset class that the system should use as default when we create an asset from within a purchase order. So in that case, we have to specify the asset class in relation to a material group. So to more simplify, in this you can post a purchase order or a purchase requisition with account assignment to an asset from the module, so as to capitalize the asset automatically when you post a goods receipt or an invoice receipt. So in basically when we create the PO, whenever an asset purchase order has to be created, it has to have the account assignment indicator as A, so as to create asset and then assign the asset over there as an asset code. So if we move on and have a look to this particular customization, let's see, click onto it and it will take you to the next screen, as you can see over here. So what you need is you need to have a material group, because from module everything material moves from material group. So how an asset can be created? For that you need to assign that particular asset class to a material group first, and then only that particular asset code can be created while creating a purchase order. So that's why you can see on the screen that there is a material group and there is a material group description against which you can assign the asset class. The class basically refer to the asset class. So similarly what you can do is you can create an asset material group and then you can assign the asset class over here. Suppose I assign the asset class as 80020. So the same way you can assign, and if you don't know, you can go and you can have the list of all the asset classes and then you can assign it over here as I did for computer. So as you enter, you can see the computer asset class has been taken up over here. So similarly what you need to do is you need to create, you should have a material group, and then in that you can assign the particular asset class for that, and that is what you need to do, and you can go and you can save this screen. So once you do that, that particular material group of asset has been assigned to the asset class of computer. So that is what you need to do, and later on the other customization with respect to the purchase order is been done from one of the consultant in SAP. So this is all about in this particular step. Now moving back, it's a simple thing, we don't need to do much, the rest of the part belongs to the module. So this is all about what we have covered with respect to the asset classes. So in asset classes we have covered all these customization steps, as you can see on the screen. So you can go through each of these one by one again, thoroughly create it, practice it, try to understand the things, because these are very, very important for you to understand. So this is how we have completed the asset class part within the organizational structure. Now moving further to this is assign GL accounts. So the same thing is over here on this, on the presentation file, assign GL accounts. So moving on to the next is assign GL accounts. So in this particular step we need to maintain the GL accounts with respect to the balance sheet, depreciation and special reserves for each of the account determinations that we have defined already in the wizard earlier, while defining the asset classes, the screen layout rules and the number ranges, which we covered earlier. So how do we assign the different GLs? However, we already had assigned those different GL in the wizard. If you remember, while creating the account determination, against that we had defined the GL account for asset and the depreciation account, the retirement account, loss on sale and gain on sale of asset. All those GL, accumulated depreciation on the asset, all those GL has already been defined. But yet in case you have missed any of them to be defined, or you want to have a relook to that, then in that case you can go to assign GL account. So if we go and execute this step, now you will find that the chart of depreciation is 2000, which has been assigned to the chart of depreciation, chart of account 1000. So basically the linkage between the chart of depreciation is with the chart of account, and within the chart of account the different GLs which are a part of chart of account are assigned to the different assets as a balance sheet part or as a depreciation part. So if we move on, we can select the chart of account over here and then we can go to the left hand side to account determination, and we can double click on account determination. So once you double click on account determination, you will find that it will give you the whole different account determination which we have created within the system. So the one which we created for computer was 1020, if you could remember, and if you could go down further, you will find 80020 and 80040 was also been defined. So let's take 80020 as account determination. So select that particular account determination for computer, and then we can go and double click onto the balance sheet account so as to check that the account determination 800, that is for the asset class computer, what are the different GL accounts been assigned as a part of balance sheet account. So double click onto this and it will take you to the next screen. As you can see, these were the different GL which we had assigned when we created the asset class, and we defined all those different things with the help of the lean implementation wizard. So you can see over here the GL has been assigned, then the different GLs with respect to loss, clearing account for revenue from sale, then loss on sale of asset, gain on sale of asset has been assigned, which are basically the part of your balance sheet which can be checked. So the same thing you can check at your end, and you need to maintain this GL account because these are the different GL account which are needed for different asset transactions like acquisitions, retirement, revaluation, for sale or for a scrap of assets and all, and even for posting depreciation on a month-to-month basis. So these are your different balance sheet related account. In case you want to see the depreciation related thing, so these basically you can go to the depreciation tab and you can double click to that, and you will find a different GL account being assigned to the depreciation account as well. So you can see over here the ordinary depreciation account assignment, where you will find your accumulated depreciation for accumulated depreciation account for ordinary depreciation, and you will find a normal depreciation account for the normal year-on-year depreciation, which basically is a part of profit and loss. Now if you want to assign the same GL account to your for your spatial valuation transaction, you can even go and you can assign it to the spatial transactions as well, and the same can also be assigned to unplanned depreciation account assignment as well. So this is how we assigned it to the different depreciation account assignments. The depreciation could be ordinary, could be spatial, or could be unplanned depreciation, where you need to change the values as per certain adjustments. So this is how you need to assign these different things to it. And once we have completed the account assignment for both the balance sheet account and for depreciation account, and then we can move to the third, that is for special reserves. So in case you got any kind of a special reserves, we can go and we can double click to special reserves part as well. So you can see over here for special reserves you need to add the different depreciation area for that and the name of the depreciation area. So that is about the special reserve part is. So this is how your different GL assignment works for different group of assets. So this belongs to your computer. Similarly, you will be assigning your different ledger accounts like the asset GL account and asset different expenses, loss or gain on sale of asset. Then you need to assign your depreciation account for respective classes, and then the accumulated depreciation account for the respective assets as per the different asset classes to this. So as we did it for computers, similarly you would be doing for the other asset classes within the SAP system. So if you move back now, so as to come back to the system asks you for the data has changed, save changes, yes. So the data will be saved. So as you can see over here, Now it says the GL account doesn't exist. No problem, we can enter and the customization will be saved, and on the other side you can go and you can create these GL within the SAP system. So this is how you would be assigning the different GL accounts within the SAP system, so that whenever we'll be doing any kind of an asset transactions, those transactions will have a proper GL impact, and in case this GL will not be assigned, in that case you will not be able to do any asset transaction in asset accounting. So this is about assigning GL accounts. Moving to the next is specify intervals and posting rules. So in the specify interval and posting rules, we define the posting rules for depreciation areas that post the depreciation values to financial accounting. So in this we define what will be the posting cycle, means how the depreciation will be posted in the SAP system, whether it will be posted as per monthly basis or it will work as per quarterly or semi-annually, how the depreciation amount has to be posted to the SAP system, and the account assignment rules for depreciation posting run. So how that can be done, let's see on the SAP system. So moving on to the SAP system now, executing this step, specify interval and posting rules. As we can see now that there are different company codes been assigned to it, but we'll be moving to 1200 for the company code. We can select the company code over here, and then we can move on to the left hand side, posting rules. So we need to double click onto the posting rules. So once you double click onto the posting rules, you will see this particular screen which has number of options. So how specify how often the posting rules are to be carried. So over here you can see the period and the method. So how you want the depreciation posting of assets should be done, whether it should be a monthly posting or a bi-monthly posting, or it will be a quarterly or semi-annually or annual posting, it can be decided. So as the company decides, accordingly the same option can be selected over here on the screen. So most cases you will find that the depreciation always is posted on a monthly basis, so that's why the monthly posting has been selected over here on the screen for you. Now moving on further, another important thing on this particular screen is smoothing. What is this smoothing refers to? Now if you select a smoothing checkbox, it is used for when you want the system to arrive at periodic depreciation by equal distribution. So what the system does is, if you select this smoothing checkbox, the system will divide the whole depreciation amount in equal distribution to all the different periods. Like for example, suppose that the per period depreciation is 1000, but the system has posted only 5000 in the first 6 periods. Now in that case, if you select this smoothing, the system will arrive at per period depreciation as 1160. That means basically the system will divide the total depreciation by 6. So ultimately it will become 7000 divided by 6, which comes out to be 1167 for the remaining 6 months. So accordingly, if you select this smoothing, the depreciation, whatever the different depreciation amount it is, it will be equally distributed or divided to the remaining periods. So smoothing basically does is it divides the depreciation equally to the remaining depreciation for the remaining periods. Now moving on further, if you do not select smoothing, the system will calculate the depreciation as a normal case as it does as per the catch-up method. So this particular step over here for interval and posting rule is basically to let the system know that how the depreciation will be posted, whether it will be posted monthly or bilaterally or quarterly, and whether you want the depreciation should be divided equally for the remaining periods or it should be the same way as it has been calculating. So this is about the interval and the posting rule. Now moving back to the path. So this is about a specify interval and posting rules all about. Now we'll be moving to the next step, is assign input text indicator for non-taxable acquisition. This step we had already covered in the very second step of the lean implementation in the last training session. So we'll be moving up to the next, that is specify financial statement version for asset reporting. So that would be the last customization step for the topic organizational structure. So moving on to that, now specify financial statement version for asset reports. In this case, this particular activity is used to assign the financial statement version for each of the depreciation areas as per the company codes. The financial statement version which we prepare for the financial statement to be generated in a particular format, and the grouping of different heads are done by taking all the GL accounts in different heads. So the financial statement version that you will assign to the depreciation area will be used as a default sort version for all the asset reportings. So as per the standard system, the financial statement version INT is assigned to all the company codes and the depreciation areas. So if you go and have a look to that particular step, we can execute this step over here on the screen. So you can see now again it will ask you for the company code. So we can select the company code, and now we can go to the left hand side, assign financial statement version. So we can double click on to assign financial statement version, and you can see now for the different depreciation areas, whatever the different assets are and the depreciation values and everything will be taken up in the financial statement version 1000. So that is the 1000 financial statement version has been defined, and similarly if you want, you can change this financial statement version with any other version if you have, and if you have created any. So we can go down further and we can assign it to INT asset. So that is the standard one which has been taken up. So this is what we had assigned over here as in financial statement for asset accounting. So what it does, it under this, the GL integration setting is done with the financial statement version. So whatever the different values which flows to the different GL account, ultimately the GL account have been mapped with the financial statement version as well. So this is whole customization of how the financial statement will be generated finally, and that is what it is done over here on the screen. So you don't have to do much on this, you just basically have to assign your financial statement version if you have defined any, and if not, you need to define yours financial statement version first, and then you need to assign that over here to the different depreciation areas. So this is about the different about the organizational structure, all these steps. So till now we have covered all the different customization steps with respect to the organizational structure, and you can go through these, and in the next training session we'll be coming up to the next part of it, that is spatial valuation on asset accounting lean implementation. So till then, we'll see you. Take care. Have a nice day.